Well, just like the title says, everyone loves Elon, but some people really don't. Why is that? And so it all started when I made the first video just asking, hey, you believe what's going on with President Trump and the current situations? What do you think about it? I voiced my opinions, and I got some pretty negative, pretty much, I can't say prejudiced, but remarks. Trailer park attitude, delusional, then, dude, just make gun videos, dude. I'm sorry to people there that if I've said something to upset them, shake them out of their antidepressant stupor, or whatever the hell's going on, I apologize. But I figured with the current events and all the things going on, this is better than reality TV, say, okay? And I'd like to say, to explain at least my point of view of why everyone is so upset, why everyone is going crazy, and really hating this guy for what he's doing, okay? The crux of the matter is that in our society here, there was this thing from post-World War II, this weird metamorphosis and how the American dream and everything went. And what happens is when it comes to the education system, which is corrupt, okay, along with the whole thing with medical and all that, and the insurance and that, and the government itself, which is corrupt. But there was this thing in our society where if you went and got a college degree, this elevated you socially. Okay, and this is where a lot of these people that are squirming, screaming, and carrying on, this is a thing. And it all revolves around an overinflated ego, a sense of privilege, and being in an elevated social class. All right? Because, there are wealthy people at varying levels. Any town that you go to, usually people that are the mayor or people that own businesses, large businesses, there's certain families that have a little bit more money, and generally they're, these people in the family have college degrees or something, doctors, lawyers, things like that. So there's always different stratas of society going by your wealth, okay, in general. Okay, not talking about billionaires or whatever, but a lot of it comes down to the thing, going back to this, is there are people, and it's part of the indoctrination of the higher level of education, that if you have a college degree, you have reached another level of society. You are elevated in terms of how you look at other people. Okay, and when people like to describe an area, they talk about percentage of the population is college educated and a type of jobs. And I remember when someone did that in my state, he went to all these areas where he said there's a lot of tech jobs, a lot of health, related, be it hospitals or medical things, and things like that. But this person's said, oh, like over in Winston and where I live, that's where it's all manufacturing and things like that, or agricultural, and people, he's like, these are not good places to live, okay? So a lot of these people believe, and like I said, then it gets into this ego, arrogance, sense of privilege. I have a college degree. I don't care what the common man does, and it's his fault for not elevating himself to my level by striving to achieve this or whatever. And another thing I don't have, I do not validate my self-worth by looking down on anyone for any reason, no matter who they are. Okay, I don't have that mechanism that I need to reassure my self-worth and my value as a human by accumulation of wealth or whatever. All right, or looking down on those less fortunate than me to boost my own ego. And this is a very dangerous thing. Unfortunately, there's a large part of our population that has that outlook. And also, also raised the question, well, I'll just leave that thing out, but that's the crux of the matter. So you have a bunch of people like this. Now, we go into when people said, hey, corruption, and the reasoning that the middle class and the common guy got screwed over is all because of billionaires like Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump was into real estate, never was in that really industry, or if he does have some involvement in it, I don't know. And he's one person. Elon Musk did some interesting things, especially in terms of aerospace, designing all the rocket ships and all that other stuff, which his company actually has advanced things in that field. The electric car thing, I don't own one. I believe that's going to be a failure in the future, this whole electric car stuff. And then his program of these like IKEA homes that you bring on the back of a tractor trailer and unfold it and live in some tin hut. Okay, I mean, that's a nice idea, for people that don't have a lot of money or are struggling, but I really wouldn't want to live like that. Okay, but none of that really, whatever the hell he does, he does. All right. So then when we talk about corruption, so we see how all this is going. Corruption in our government has existed since our government was formed, when we started a war with England and broke away from the British Empire, a colony of the British Empire, into what we now call the United States of America. George Washington and that, before he was ever involved, back in the French and Indian Wars and that, there were some rumors, if you study history, that him and his brother were some kind of involved in real estate or land, whatever, however they did things back then. There were some questionable transactions, and all of the founding fathers, So there's always been a level of some sort of abuse of power. Now, the Constitution and all that stuff was written, and by several people in that there were fail-safes written into it, to where if some people got into power and started to usurp the power, there were little clauses in there that allowed you to kind of stop it. Okay, which generally was ignored. And over the years, like I said, this is nothing new. And the average person, what are you going to do? Okay? The larger the country became, the more of an economic powerhouse this country became over the years, the larger the government and people in it, okay, the more this somewhat corruption and stuff goes on. Everyone knows it, and really there ain't much you can do about it. And a lot of people fall into this where, I ain't going to question it. Especially as the government grows bigger and creates more jobs and positions that are not in the private sector. They're connected to the government. Okay? And how these bureaucrats build power is by creating these jobs And then that way you kind of consolidate your power by uh, creating jobs and getting people that become, that's a nice livelihood, it's a good paying job with good benefits. And then now you have a power base of people who have education level, which are considered elevated in society. So when they speak out, somebody like me saying something, that's a trailer park mentality or something. So you got all these people, got their sheepskin, show up and get some job with whatever department or something. And a government job is good because it's like secure. No one ever figured that the United States government would fail. Okay. The benefits are good, the pay's good. And this is how you kind of usurp power. All right. So now you got two billionaires. And really what Trump and Musk are doing, I really don't believe they're in it for the money because they got all the money they friggin' need to begin with. Okay? And no matter what anyone thinks, a vast majority of people in this country are unhappy with the way things are. Got the debt clock over here, okay? 36 and a half trillion, okay? And it's just like when Musk got on there and said, hey, something has to be done because this can't go on. Okay, the country's going to default. All right? You don't have to be a genius to realize this. All right? And for a long time, nobody wanted to rock the boat, especially if you're in this system and your livelihood depends on this. You don't want to point fingers or say that, but see, the thing is, these people deep down inside, the reason they strive to do this, I personally would not want to work for any government agency. Okay? Yes, the benefits are there and all that other stuff, but there's a lot of other things that, can't speak out. You have to watch what the hell you say and just go through the motions, take the money. So now with this Dodge or whatever, you hear all this whining and crying. They're just cutting this stuff out. Now there's a lot of people that their attitude was, hey, I got this nice job. The government ain't going to default. Now you got somebody in the government saying, you're in the street. And everyone's going crazy. Constitutional crisis and this and that and everything else. Well, the thing is, and the thing that gets me, is the reason these people went into this as a career is they know. Okay, deep down inside, you can argue, say, whatever you want. You kind of know that you're earning a living, kind of a stable, high-paying living, that maybe there's something a little off about how the money's coming in there. And this, what they're doing, is they're uncovering how this system works. And they're dismantling it. Because, like he said, with that debt clock that just blacked out behind me, if something isn't done to reverse a lot of this, or save money, or justify it, okay, the country is going to dissolve, just flat out and go bankrupt and collapse, okay, which is not good for anyone. All right, I don't see how it benefits anyone by that happening, okay. So now all these people are upset, they're getting worked up and that. Well, if you have a good, strong background in education, or a good education with a strong background, then you should be able to have a skill or some sort of knowledge that somebody will pay you to work for them. Now, maybe in the private sector, not as much or not as a lucrative deal as what is being offered by the government. Okay, but still. So this is where everyone's going now. And it doesn't matter if it's Elon Musk or Bugs Bunny pointing this out. And the reason everyone's upset is nobody wants you to really know how the money is being spent, or all this weird stuff, how things are appropriated one way or the other. Nobody wants that uncovered. None of your government officials and any elected officials want this being exposed. And yes, unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of people that are in a different, they believe, socially elevated class that now they're out in the cold. Much like when they would shut down a factory and then, everyone went to clock in that morning, the doors are locked. An individual comes up on a podium and said, hey, we had a good run, but in 30 days, 60 days, all of you are without a job. And, like 2,000, 3,000 people are all of a sudden out of work. Okay. Didn't hear nobody getting bent out of shape over that 30 years ago. But it's just another group of people are being targeted. Is it necessary? I believe so. If they don't like it, they don't like my opinion. Oh well. And another thing, what I'm really waiting for is for them to go and look inside Fort Knox. That's going to be a trip. Because I believe they're going to find that a little bit of a balance sheet discrepancy there. But, that's another thing. A lot of people are afraid that, if the gold is missing and things aren't above board there, that could have a very, very serious effect on the economy and the country as a whole. But these things have to be done. This stuff has to stop. It can't go on and perpetuate like it has been doing. And, to blame Elon Musk and point a finger at him and point a finger at Trump, these people are no different than the people who are running. Actually, the people running it are probably far worse. If you dig deep enough, you can find some bizarre stuff about all of these influential individuals that are supposedly running things. Yeah. But, whatever. All I can say is sit back, relax, and let's see what happens. And also, all you people all bent out of shape about Elon Musk and, he's a non-elected official doing this and having access to all this. What about back during the plague when we had non-elected officials like Bill Gates making decisions about health, which I don't really think he's qualified for, or indoctrinating and giving away his fortune to school systems that teach a certain ideology that he approves of. Okay? Don't know about that. So you had that with, non-elected officials. And during the plague, there were a lot of non-elected officials making decisions like you couldn't leave your home. Or be arrested or in violation of the law. There was talk about martial law being enforced, and all this was under the direction of people who were not officially elected in our government, into some sort of government position. So, to cry that, it doesn't, it doesn't make sense. Okay? But really, if you really, really dislike the man, all I can tell you is give it about 10 years. And when SpaceX starts really making some leaps and bounds technically in that, Elon Musk probably one day is going to climb aboard one of his spaceships and fly off to become Emperor of Mars, and you'll never have to worry about him again. Alright guys, hit the like button and subscribe and stay tuned. It's going to be a trip.